Hi everyone, this is my weekly preview, and today I'm going to focus entirely on the English National Cross Country Championships, which take place at Bolesworth Castle in Cheshire, which is a new venue to me. I think there's been the odd event held there, but no major cross country championship before. It's not far from Chester or Crewe up in the northwest. Again, it's a sort of stately home type grounds, so it should be pretty scenic, and I'm told it's relatively flat courses, so it's been quite dry recently, so I'm not expecting a mud bath up there. I'm putting to one side events like the World Indoor Tour Final at Birmingham this weekend, which no doubt you can all read up on, and it'll be on BBC, but the cross country championships are really for us hardcore fans, if you like, and hardcore competitors and spectators in the English club scene, and it's probably one of the highlights of the year for the likes of me, and it's quite interesting going through all the entries and trying to pick out who might be there and who might be at the sharp end, both in the individual and the team competitions. All the entries can be seen on Sportsoft race results if you go on there. The results system, I think, is going to be FR Systems, which have been used for the regional championships recently and for last year's national, so I expect it to be there. There's also a live stream, which is on British Athletics TV, and I hope to be doing some videoing with colleagues as well, where perhaps we're just panned down a bit further down the field to see what's going on behind the leaders a bit more and get that out afterwards. The races start, there's all the age groups, of course, separate under 20s, there's under 13, under 15, under 17, under 20 and senior races. The women's senior race is at 1:35 and the men's is at 3 o'clock, and in between there is the under 20 men's race as well. As I say, it's on British Athletics TV live stream, but weather looks a little bit chilly, but bearable, and fingers crossed no heavy rain or anything like that, so could be an enjoyable day. Anyway, let's have a look at the women's side, and I've gone through 1,060 entries, just scanned across it, save you guys the job of doing so and trying to pick out who might feature. Aldershot won the Southern Cross Country. They got plenty of national class athletes entered. They got, for example, Georgie Brunvels, who won the Southern Cross Country Championship, is in there. Neve Brown, who was third and finished, I think, fifth last year in the national. So they should come at it pretty strong. Bedford, surprisingly, only got 3 entries. Of course, it's 4 to score, so they won't be featuring in the team, but they got Rebecca Murray running there. Belgrave got Sarah Astin. Blackheath have got Andrea Clement, who was second in the Southern. Neve Briston Hubbard, who was 4th in the Bucks Cross Country, seems to be running really well. Bracknell, intriguingly, have Amelia Quirk on their entry list, who only last weekend in Australia ran the World Cross Country Championship, so your guess is as good as mine whether she'll turn up. I wouldn't bank against some of these people doing it. Camberley got Charlotte Dannant. Charnwood got Gemma Steele, who I expect to run, and Samantha Harrison, who's better known for her track and road racing exploits. Not really seen Sam Harrison turn out on much cross country, so I'm not expecting her to race. Hampshire, Lauren Hayes, Herne Hill got quite a deep squad with likes of Georgie Grieck in there. Leeds again, Jen Walsh, one of their athletes. Intriguingly, Reading have only one athlete entered, and it doesn't include Jess Gibbon, the current national champion from last year. So we're going to have a new national cross country champion on the women's side. Sale have led probably by their international triathlete Georgia Taylor Brown, who was 4th last year. I'll come on to that in a second. Tunbridge not at full strength, unfortunately, but Phoebe Barker might be the top one, leading our or their team forward on that one. And perhaps the best of the individual entries, and perhaps the overall favourite, would be Jess Judd, running for Blackburn. So just going through, I've mentioned some of the southern results, etc. That was first three were Georgia Brunvales, Andrea Clement and Neve Brown. All three are entered. From the north, Philippa Williams from Hallamshire, Philippa Stone from Middlesbrough and Scout Atkin from Ambleside. Only Philippa Stone is amongst the entries. She's from Middlesbrough. Then from the Midland, Gemma Steele won the Midland from Julie Emerson of Coventry, who's not entered, and Amelia Samuels from Wolverhampton and Bilston. So gives you an idea of recent form at the regional championships. And from last year's national, Jess Gibbon was the winner, Eleanor Bolton was second, and Bronwyn Owen from Leeds was third. None of those are entered this year. So none of the medalists from last year. The top placed athlete from last year who could well return is Georgia Taylor Brown. So looking at all of that, Amelia Quirk would obviously have an impact on the result, and I know she loves a race and she's a pretty tough cookie. I could see her turning out, so could go perhaps Jess Judd, Amelia Quirk, Gemma Steele or something like that. Well, Georgia Taylor Brown in the mix there as well. That gives you a rough idea on where the individuals are panning out. On the team front, Southerns went Aldershot, Belgrave, Kent, with Aldershot really dominant. North went Leeds, Hallamshire and Vale Royal. And the Midland went Charnwood, Coventry and Leamington. And last year at the National it was Leeds, Aldershot and London Heathside. And for me, I would think that Leeds and Aldershot might be competing for the team win. Perhaps I'd lean towards a reversal and Aldershot maybe sneaking the title. And if a team like Charnwood perhaps can get Steele and Harrison out, then fine. But otherwise, yeah, it's difficult. That bronze medal's up for grabs. But yeah, the likes of Hallamshire, Charnwood, etc., all got a shout at that. So that's how the women's side stacks up. And as I say, 1,060 entries on the women. There's 2,190 entries on the men, double. And that 2-to-1 sort of ratio often pans out in my experience. So again, similarly, let's go through some of the entries on the men's side. Aldershot don't look like they're going to be challenging on the men's side this year. We all know they could do if they could get them out, but there's a lot of road races in there and indoor track races focused on that area. So there's nobody from Aldershot I think is going to be right at the sharp end, challenging for an individual medal. Bedford got quite a strong squad. The likes of Ben Alcott and Jack Goodwin in there. Birchfield have only Kadar Omar he's the only entry. Not sure about his form. He won the Birmingham League recently, but he was only 26th in the Battersea 5K. Otherwise, he's a very fearsome competitor. Bracknell have 4 entries, including the Seddon brothers, Zach and Matt. So Zach's been high up in national before. He didn't do the British indoors last week. Could he be doing the national? I know he likes a good slog around the cross country. So yeah, look out for Zach possibly up there. Bristol, quite a good squad. 26 athletes entered. Got the likes of Jack Miller in there, who ran so well in last year's national where he was 5th. And also Kurt Taylor, who was 3rd in the Midlands. So they've got a potentially good, strong squad there. Cambridge, I know, will be gunning for a national title, if not medals at least. If they can all turn out, they've got quite a deep squad. Got really good 6 scorers, the likes of Callum Elson, although he was in the World Cross Country relay last weekend again in Australia, so he's got to deal with coming back. I've got little doubt he's going to. They're pumped for this one, as saw by Tom Keane interview in the week after winning the Battersea 5K. He's put what indoors to one side, everything else to one side, to try and help Cambridge win the national cross country title. And great club, great spirit, great attitude from all of them. Some good athletes all coming together for the cause. So, likes of Jack Gray, who won the Midland in there, Jonathan Escalante Phillips, Will Mycroft, marathon runner Norman Shreve, and others there. I'm sure they can mount a challenge if all goes well for them. Croydon, Dom Nolan there. One of the favourites perhaps for the individual title, if he runs, it would be Hugo Milner from Derby. No Ben Connor entered, but Hugo Milner is. Gateshead, previous winner Callum Johnson is entered, but he ran 2:13 marathon only last week and in Seville. So I very much doubt he's going to recover and run the national cross country. But some of these guys are pretty gutsy, and recovery from marathons and things are so much better than they were in the past. But that's Callum Johnson. Hallam have Cameron Bell, who was third in the Northern Champs. And then Hercules Wimbledon, strong depth. I'm not sure they've got what it takes to get a medal on the team front, but going to have to look out for them. They're going to pop one very, very soon, I think, at one of these championships, whether it be the road relays or cross-country championship. They've got a very good team spirit and strength in depth, but I'm not sure it's going to happen on this occasion. Similar to Cambridge, I know one club is really pumped, and that's Highgate. And they won the Southern by 2 points from Tunbridge, and they are going to be stronger on paper, at least, because they can bring Jacob Allen in, who's done 13:40 low for 5,000 metres and has shown he's pretty fit this winter. So you add him in, plus Alex Petra, who was the silver medalist at the Southern, and also Tahar Ghaffari, who made such an effort to support the team at the Southern by driving down from Scotland. They have got a good six there, and they could well be in the mix. Leeds, probably, if they get everybody out, it's the strongest club in the country. 39 names entered, including Emil Caress and Phil Sessamon. The doubt I have is that Emil is down for a British 10-mile record attempt the following weekend, and I'm not sure he would really be doing the national cross country. But again, they do tend to galvanise people. Phil Sessamon, he's a real club man, even though he's a top class marathon runner and track runner, as he showed beating Jake Whiteman over 3,000 metres recently. So Leeds have got some depth there, and they can certainly challenge, even if they're not totally at full strength. Milton Keynes have the Wheelers, Charlie and George, who have only got 4 entries, but those two are amongst them. Charlie Wheeler was third in the British Indoor 3,000 metres Championships at the weekend on Sunday. It is possible. I've seen one or two from the Tunbridge lads do the 3,000 one week and then come back out and do the national cross country the following weekend, do pretty well. So it is possible. You might turn up. Carl Avery from Morpeth, who was second in the Northern, he's amongst their entries. Perhaps they haven't got the depth that you need to get 6 good scorers up there, but he'll be out there challenging from an individual point of view. Newham and Essex Beagles got 2 really good athletes on their entry, particularly Jacob Can, who finished quite high up and only just missed off Great Britain place at Liverpool for the Europeans, and Ned Potter, who was 4th at the recent British Universities Championships, running well. So good start to their team, but I don't think they've got enough to challenge on in the team stakes. Not Stacey, decent squad again. Dougie Musson amongst the entries. Haven't seen too much from Dougie recently. Reading, headed by possibly Johnny Davis, who a few years ago won the European Under-23 title. So it'd be good to see Johnny out there. Sale, I've got the likes of Nigel Martin in there. Again, a very solid squad who should be up there on the day. Joe Stewart leads the Salford team. He was 8th in 2022 at Parliament Hill. And Shaftesbury have got solid 10 athletes entered. If every single one of them turned up and performed, they could challenge for a medal on the day, but it's a big ask. You do need a little bit of depth because niggles and colds and things like that come into play, so not quite sure. Southampton, the reigning champions, if you put their top three, Zach Mohammed and Alex Chewton in there, they challenge. Now, there are some doubts here. Zach ran the World Cross Country Championships in Australia. He was the only British competitor in the men's race down in Australia. That was on Saturday. So to come back and run the national is a tough ask. And I'm not sure that Mohammed is going to be defending his title. It probably made me look silly there. But I'm not sure Southampton are going to be at full strength. I mentioned also Thames Hare and Hounds. There's a guy in there called Ollie Fox, a few years ago, ran for Great Britain. He was 5th in the Southern. It's his only race for a while. Now, if he's on the upward trajectory, a month later could be really good. We shall see. Under-raced, and I know he's had some difficulties over the years with his health, so fingers crossed for Ollie. He's getting back to his best form. Then I come to my club, Tunbridge AC, frustratingly close in the Southern to Highgate, 2 points off them. And despite the fact that they turned the tables on us after the result of the other way around in the 12th stage back in last April, it could be another good tussle with the likes of Highgate as well. James Kingston had a dominant win at the Southern Cross Country Championships. If he can maintain that sort of form and bring it through to the national, he's got to be in with a shout of finishing pretty high up. We haven't got James West, unfortunately. He is now in the Great Britain team from the European Indoor Championships at 3,000 metres. He was going to run if he hadn't made it, but can't blame him. He's going to do the European Indoors rather than the National Cross Country. But I still hope we could be, when I say we, Tunbridge could be a fraction stronger than they were at the Southern Cross to make it interesting at least. Go to Woodford Green. Ed Shepherd probably leads their challenge, but there is probably the most famous person in the race. And bearing in mind, Johnny Brownlee's running for Bingley, who might that be? I'll give you a few seconds to think, but I've probably given it away by mentioning Woodford Green because you aficionados will know Ronnie O'Sullivan, the multi-world champion at snooker, runs for Woodford Green. He's on the entry list. Be interesting to see if he turns out. Probably somebody will tell me he's in, somewhere playing in some snooker tournament. But look out for Ronnie if you're up at Bolesworth Castle. Ilford, Ahmed Abdullah, he can run pretty well as well. So I've picked out quite a few names there from the 2,190 entries. Just going across to what's happened recently on the regional championships. The Southern was won by James Kingston from Alex Lepetra of Highgate and Ben Alcott from Bedford. The North was won by Joe Stewart from Carl Avery and Cameron Bell, who's Hallamshire. The Midland was Jack Gray, who runs for Cambridge and Coleridge. Samuel Moak from Notts was second, and Kurt Taylor from Bristol was third. Funny enough, all 9 of those regional medalists are amongst the entries for this one. But if you look at the national for 2022, which was it was a classic race between Mohammed, Emil Caress and Alex Yee. Alex Yee is the only one not entered, although I'm not entirely sure either of the first two are going to be racing. Zach Mohammed was 4th and Jack Miller was 5th, and they are entered, as I've mentioned before. Question mark over Zach, having done the World Cross. On the team front, Southern went Highgate, Tunbridge and Hercules Wimbledon, with Southampton 4th. And the North was Leeds, Sale, Hallamshire, Salford. And the Midland was Bristol, Notts and Birmingham Running and Triathlon Club. So I think we've got potentially a really good team battle going on here with perhaps 5 or 6 clubs, like Highgate, Tunbridge, Southampton, Leeds, Bristol, Cambridge and Coleridge, who didn't have a team out really at the Southern, all in the mix. I wouldn't really like to put them in, I'd get in order, and I'd probably get some stick for doing so. I know, yeah, to be honest, Highgate and Cambridge and Coleridge, such good team spirit alongside our team spirit at Tunbridge. And Leeds have their own team spirit as well. They can pull them together as well. And people sacrifice individual aspirations for the team. So, and I know the likes of Bristol as well. So this is where the English Cross Country Championship is so good, because team spirit trumps a lot of things, and the winners of the team title deserve that title for, yeah, bringing all that to the table. Looking at the individuals, you know, I had a number stood out from the entries: Hugo Milner, Mohamed, Zach Mohamed, Emil Caress, maybe Callum Johnson, previous winner. But of those, maybe Milner might be the only one who's racing. And he might not, because he might have triathlon aspirations coming up in targets. So, and then there's a sort of another tier of Phil Sessamon, Jacob Allen, Jack Gray, Ollie Fox, James Kingston, Charlie Wheeler maybe, Carl Avery, Johnny Davis, Joe Stewart. There's a whole bunch there who could get amongst the medals. So I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I've got getting a bit of a tingle just thinking about the raw competition that could be going on Saturday, and on top of all that, seeing great friends and acquaintances and people who just love the sport all coming together for one of the great championships of the year. Don't forget, there is a live stream, British Athletics TV, if you can't be there. But hope all of you there really enjoy the day. Looking forward to seeing some of you. Cheers.